Good day everyone, I am Mariel Echamsuri and I will be your first presenter for today, and also I am your little teacher for today's discussions. And my co-members are Vrail Quintas, Ari Rose Apolinario, Maria Mariela Coton, and Norquisa Tantong. Standard learning outcomes. After studying the module, you are expected to: number 1, discuss the nature of learner-centered teaching modalities, structures, methods, and strategies that facilitated differentiated teaching to suit learners' gender, needs, strengths, interests, and experiences. Number 2, select appropriate learner-centered teaching modalities, structures, methods, and strategies based on learners' diverse needs, learning styles, and backgrounds. Number 3, draw an appropriate learner-centered teaching modalities and strategies that address the special education needs of learners in difficult circumstances. Learner-centered pedagogy views learners as active participants in their own learning with their education by their interests. Prior knowledge and active investigation. In the learner-centered class, the responsibility for learning is placed on the student and is more cooperative rather than solely based on the instruction from the teacher. Instruction. A. Delivery modalities refers to a learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and the learners who are geographically remote from each other during instructions. The following are the modalities in teaching students. First, face-to-face is an instructional method where course content and learning materials are taught in person to a group of students, and this allows for a live interaction between a learner and instructor. Number 2, blended learning is an approach to learning that combines face-to-face and online learning experiences. Students learn via electronic and online media, as well as the traditional face-to-face teaching. The following are some examples of blended learning. A. Station rotation blended learning is a model that allows students to rotate through stations on a fixed schedule where at least one of the stations is an online learning station. Remote blended learning or enriched virtual. In this model, the student's focus is on completing online coursework while only meeting with the teacher intermittently or as needed. This approach differs from the flipped classroom. C. The flipped classroom blended learning is one where students are introduced to content at home and practice working throughout in school, supported by a teacher and or peers. In this way, traditional roles for each space are flipped. In other words, studying at school and learning at home. Mastery-based blended learning. Students rotate between online and face-to-face learning based on the completion of mastery-based learning objectives. Assessment design is crucial in any mastery-based learning experiences. Number 3, technology-based online or e-learning constitute learning via electronic technology including the internet, intranets, satellite broadcasts, audio and video conferencing, bulletin boards, chat rooms, webcasts, and CD-ROM. This fosters greater accessibility to learning by offering an anywhere delivery of information. Learning, on the other hand, refers to the idea of using online tools for learning. An online course implies on the distance between the student and the teachers. Lectures, assignments, tests are enabled by virtual platforms, while e-learning typically refers to that online interaction between the student and the teacher. Students receive the training through an online medium even though the teachers may be in the same building. Number 4, distance learning is synonymous with online learning. It is a method of study where teachers and students do not meet in a classroom, but learning materials are sent through the internet, emails, etc. to have classes.
Structures for facilitating learner-centered teaching. It is a potent tool to help pre-service and practicing teachers understand the fundamentals of pedagogical principles, processes, and practices that are anchored on the learner-centeredness and other educational psychologies as they apply to facilitate the delivery of the teaching and learning in the current education milieu. Number 1. Formal traditional. It is a concern with the teacher being the controller of the environment. Power and responsibility are held by the teachers and they play the role of instructor. It is a form of lectures and decision maker in regards to the curriculum or specific outcomes. Approaches are generally teacher directed where the students are taught in a manner that is conducive and sitting and listening. Number 2 is alternative learning system or ALS. It is a practice option to exist formal instruction so that the student can complete basic education in the mode that fits their distinct situation and needs. Under flexible program, learning can take place anytime at any place, depending on the convenience and the availability of the learner. This program is for working and disadvantaged adults who wishes to complete primary and secondary education under the Alternative Learning System Act, Republic Act 11-15-51-0. A learning system that is different from the traditional classroom-based method with a formally established A. Non-formal education or NFE refers to the education that occurs outside the formal school system. It is often used interchangeably with the terms such as community education, adult education, lifelong education, and the second chance of education. It is the integral part of a lifelong learning concept that ensures the young people and adults to acquire and maintain the skills, abilities, and disappointments needed to adapt in continuously changing environment. B. Informal education or INFED does not have the structures and levels that formal schools have. It is more natural and spontaneous, meaning the information that one learns to this form of education come from the learning from experience. For example, is formal education can teach you about fire and physics, and in more advanced classes, thermodynamics, but informal education is when you see a person burning their hand when they touch the pot handle without a pot holder, and you learn that the heat from one stove is transferred to the pot handle. So you should be careful when handle your cooking ware. Letter C. Mobile teachers are specialized teachers who live among the people in remote barangays of the country and conduct BLP for illiterate out of school youth and adults who are willing to learn basic literacy skills and accreditation and equivalency, a continuing education for those who left formal school system or have no access to schools. They are called mobile teachers because they go from one place to another where they are needed. Number 3. Alternative Delivery Modes or ADM refers to the non-traditional education program recognized by the Department of Education or DepEd, which applies a flexible learning philosophy and curricular delivery program that includes non-formal and informal sources of educational skills. These are tried and tested alternative modalities of education delivery within the confines of the formal system that allows schools to deliver a quality education to marginalized students and those at risk of dropping out in order to help them overcome personal, social, and economic constraints in their schooling. A modified in school approach, or also known as MIMOSA, is an alternative delivery mode of education meant to address the problem of congestion, overcrowding due to classroom and teacher shortage resulting to the big class size, less contact with the pupils, absenteeism, and inefficient learning materials. Classes under MIMOSA are divided in two groups, the in-school group and off-school group, wherein the school group learns in a typical classroom setup while the school of group is given the flexibility to learn and to do activities independently or with learning facilitator. Then, the in-school group will exchange the learning intervention of those who off-school group and vice versa. Moreover, both groups will report to the school at the same time for enrichment and assessment of learning. Enhanced instructional management by parents, community, and teacher, or also known as e-impact, is a learning system in the Philippines that was designed in 2010 by the Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization, or CMO, Inatech, through an e-impact. CMO wants to solve problems in education in the Philippine public school system, such as lack of classroom, teachers, textbooks, high dropout rate, and low budget allocated for education. This technology-enhanced alternative delivery mode of learning consists of peer-led approach is the main process that allows pupils to learn, interact with each other, and develop their fullest potential. Every pupil has access to the modules and instructional materials to guide him in his education. More than being trained on how to become facilitator of the learning process, the school faculty learns new perspective about children and child education. Parents and members of the community became actively engaged in sustaining the system and making it work. Their support is crucial in ensuring the learning process continues in their home. Thus, in the process of learning with the child, a whole community is transformed. Open High School Program, or OHSP, is an alternative mode of formal and secondary program run by Bureau of Secondary Education, or BSE, of the Department of Education, DepEd, of the Republic of the Philippines.
Coach, my name is Maria Mariela Alcotan, and I'm the next reporter for StudyHub4. So my topic is all about methods and strategies. Methods and strategies. There are several time-tested methods and strategies that learning-centered teachers can utilize in the classroom. Teachers can employ a variety of methods or strategies appropriate to the learning styles of students and carry out the objectives of the lesson to be taught. So methods and strategies are techniques that teachers use to help students develop knowledge or skills. It also helps learners participate, connect, and add excitement to the content being delivered. So first is methods and strategies. Letter A, active learning activities. Is any learning activity in which the student participates or interacts with the learning process as opposed to passively taking in the information when given the opportunity to actively engage with the information they are learning. Students perform better. Examples of active learning techniques include role playing, case studies, group projects, think, pair, share, debates just in time, teaching, and short demonstrations followed by class discussion. So in active learning activities, it is an as a student to engage in their learning by thinking, discussing, investigating, and creating. So second is cooperative learning activities. It's a generic term for various small group interactive instructional procedures. Students work together on academic tasks in small groups to help themselves and their teammates learn together. Examples of cooperative learning activities are pair or group discussions, role play, jigsaw, think, pair, share, or write, pair, share, and fishbowl debate. So in cooperative learning activities is students work together in small groups on a structured activity. So third is inquiry and inductive learning activities. Inductive learning is a powerful strategy for helping students deepen their understanding of content and develop their influence and evidence gathering skills. Examples of inquiry activities are case studies, group projects, research projects, field work, especially in science lessons, unique exercises tailored for the students. So, inquiry and inductive learning activities is a type of active learning that encourages students to ask questions, conduct research, and explore new ideas. So, second is learner centered instructional strategies. First, cooperative learning is a successful teaching strategy in which small teams, each with students of different levels of ability, use a variety of learning activities to improve their understanding of a subject. Each member of a team is responsible for learning what is taught, but also for helping teammates learn, thus creating an atmosphere of achievement. So, cooperative learning, it is focus listing. For example, you will give the students a main topic, then ask them to create a list of words or phrases that describe that topic. From there, you can put students into small groups to discuss their list, or you can first put them into groups to generate the list. Second is presentation. The instructional strategies of using student presentation as a way to present content to the class as a whole can be fun and engaging method. For example, the teacher hands out topics to students or group and have them present information on each topic as a short presentation. This not only helps students learn the material deeper but also provide them with practice in public speaking. So, in presentation, delivers contents through oral audio and visual channels, allowing teacher learner instruction, interaction, and making the learning process more attractive. So, third is panels. In a panel discussion, a selected group of students act as a panel, and the remaining class members act as the audience. A panel leader is chosen, and he or she summarizes the panel discussion and opens discussion to the audience. So panel is a selected group of 4 to 6 students act as panelists and the remaining students are the audience. So fourth is KWL or KWHLAQ is an instructional reading strategy that is used to guide students through a text. Student begins by brainstorming everything they know about a topic. This information is recorded in the K column of a KWL chart. Ogle 1986. KWL charts are graphic organizers that help students organize information before, during, and after a unit or a lesson. They can be used to engage students in a new topic, activate prior knowledge, share unit objectives, and minor, monitor students' learning. So in number 4, it engages students in a new topic, activate prior knowledge, share unit objectives, and monitor students' learning. So number 5 is brainstorming. Brainstorming is a large or small group activity that encourages students to focus on a topic and contribute to the free flow of ideas. First is the teacher may begin a brainstorming session by posing a question or a problem or by introducing a topic. Students then express possible answers and relevant ideas. Contributions are accepted without criticisms or judgment and usually summarized on a whiteboard by the teacher or scribe as the ideas are called out. These ideas are then examined usually in an open class discussion format. So in brainstorming, students are asked to generate ideas on a certain topic, category, or question while you facilitate and record the answers on the blackboard or whiteboard. So number 6 is learner-centered media. Involves a high degree of engagement, promotes individual learning, social interaction and immersion, and is highly customizable and collaborative. Yowell and Roten 2009. It provides an alternative or a complement to traditional undergraduate student research. So in number 6, learner learner-centered media provides students with multiple ways to connect virtually with others. So number 7, discussion. Is a variety of forums for open-ended, collaborative exchange of ideas among a teacher and students or among students for the purpose of furthering student thinking, learning, problem solving, understanding, or literary appreciation. The participants present multiple points of view, respond to the ideas of others, and reflect on their own ideas in an effort to build their knowledge, understanding, or interpretation of the matter at hand. So, in discussion, allows you to stimulate critical thinking. As you establish a rapport with your students, you can demonstrate that you appreciate their contributions at the same time that you challenge them to think more deeply and to articulate their ideas more clearly. So, the following are advantages and disadvantages of discussion. So, first is advantages. Number 1, in a discussion class, the students are actively involved in processing information and ideas. Since students' initiated questions are more common in discussion classes, their needs and interests are dealt with more readily and spontaneously than in other methods. Number 3, because students play a more active role in discussion, students' diversity of backgrounds can be exploited in the generation of ideas, approaches, and examples. Number 4, students receive practice in formulating questions and communicating their ideas. Number 5, discussion can be used for or to examine students' attitudes. Next is disadvantages. First is the discussion method is the least effective method for conveying factual information. Number 2, discussion can be very time consuming and unfocused unless the instructor makes an effort to direct the flow. 3, because an instructor is often had difficulty in getting the students involved at first, the temptation to slip into a review session or mini lecture is great. Number 4, class size must be restricted. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of discussion. So let's move to the number 8, the small group. Small group allows presenters to announce a topic or idea for group discussion among participants. A small group discussion follows democratic guidelines and allows everyone to contribute many ideas for others to discuss and reflect upon. Discussion allows for an interchange of ideas within the context of a group under the direction of a presenter. Brewer, 1997. This method is generally used as part of a large course rather than as the only teaching method. In these situations, students work in pairs or small groups on problem of application and analysis. The instructor prepares a description of the task beforehand and in class divides the large group into smaller work groups of 2 to 7 students. These students work together to complete the task as assigned. The instructor then reconvenes the large group and has the groups compare their solution. So in small groups, The purpose of small group interaction instruction is to address learning deficit. Students are placed with groups of 2 to 6 by providing direct instructional support. So, number 9, case studies often involve simply observing what happens to or reconstructing the case history of a single participant or group of individuals. In this method, a situation is drawn from real life and is followed by step to illustrate a general principle or problem solving strategy. The case studies are more useful when students are learning a process of information analysis or asking questions. They are particularly beneficial if the students can go through several cases sequentially, during which the instructor begins by directing the process and gradually shift to allowing the students to direct the process. So, the case study is the case study is an instructional method that refers to assigned scenarios based on situations in which students observe, analyze, record, implement, conclude, summarize, or recommend. So, number 10 is Jigsaw. It's a method of organizing classroom activity that makes students dependent on each other to succeed. It breaks classes into groups and breaks assignment. To complete the jigsaw puzzle, it is cooperative learning strategy that enables each student of a home group to specialize in one aspect of a topic. For example, one group studies habitats of rainforest animals. Another group studies predators of rainforest animals. Students meet members from other groups who are assigned the same aspect. And after mastering the material, return to the home group and teach the material to their group members. With this strategy, each student in the home group serves as a piece of the topic's puzzle, and when they work together as a whole, they create the complete jigsaw puzzle. So in jigsaw puzzle, it reduces racial conflict among school children, promotes better learning, improves student motivation, and increases enjoyment of the learning experience. So number 7, learning centers. Number 11 rather, learning centers is an exploratory and interactive learning strategy where students rotate in groups to different activities that reinforce and extend classroom learning. As students rotate to designate areas around the classroom, they demonstrate their understanding of a topic and practice skills through tasks that integrate various learning styles. To implement this strategy, a teacher first determines a skill or content area to focus on and select several activities relate to the objective. The materials for each activity are placed in specific locations around the classroom, and students complete the activities in small groups while the teacher provides support to individual students. So in learning centers, it is an exploratory and interactive learning strategy where students rotate in groups to different activities that reinforce and extend classroom learning. So that's all, ma'am. Next reporter, please.
So, good day everyone. I am Brel Quintas, the next reporter. So, number 12, experiments. Experiments is a procedure carried out to support, reflect, or validate a hypothesis. Experiments provide insights into cause and effect by demonstrating what outcome occurs when a particular factor is manipulated. Experiments vary greatly in goal and scale but always rely on repeatable procedure and logical analysis of the results. So number 13 is role play. So role play is a technique that allows students to explore realistic situations by interacting with other people in a managed way in order to develop experience and try different strategies in a supported environment. It is an educational technique in which people spontaneously act out problems of human relations and analysis that an enactment with the help of the other role players and observers. Role playing is effective when the topic involves person to person communication or interactions. The advantage of role play are allow everyone to participate, it develops self-esteem and confidence and give them opportunity to show their creativity. So the number 14 is simulations. Simulations are instructional scenarios where the learner is placed in a world defined by the teacher. They represented a reality within which students interact. The teacher controls the parameters of the world and uses it to achieve the desired instructional results. Students experience the reality of the scenario and gather meaning from it. Simulation may contain elements of a game, a role play, or an activity that acts as a metaphor. Advantage of simulations are it promotes the use of critical and evaluate thinking, promotes concept attainment through experimental practice, and helps students appreciate more deeply the management of the environment, politics, community, and culture. So number 15. Number 15 is the laboratory strategies. Laboratory strategies are wonderful settings for teaching and learning science. They provide students with opportunities to think about, discuss, and solve real problems. It develops intuitions and deepens understanding of concepts, applies concepts learned in class to new situations, experience basic phenomena, develop critical quantitative thinking, develops experimental and data analysis skills, and learn to use scientific apparatus. So number 16, workshop is a teaching structure that pushes students to be creative and responsible in their own learning. The workshop model asks students to take charge of their own learning, becoming active and engaged in their work and development of understanding. Number 17, demonstrations. Demonstrations is a teaching method used to communicate an idea with the aid of visuals such as flip charts, posters, PowerPoints, or etc. It is also a process of teaching somehow to make or do something in a step-by-step process. A demonstration always has a finished product. The key to good demonstrations is for the audience to be able to go home and do what you have taught them how to do. So number 18 is inquiry-based strategy. Inquiry-based strategy is an approach to learning that emphasizes the student's role in the learning process. So rather than the teacher telling students what they need to know, students are encouraged to explore the material, ask questions, and share ideas. From a student's point of view, inquiry-based learning focuses on investigating unopened questions or problems. They must use evidence-based reasoning and creative problem solving to reach a conclusions, which they must defend or present. From a teacher point of view, inquiry-based learning focuses on moving students beyond general curiosity, curiosity into a remains of critical thinking and understanding. So let's now talk about the benefits of inquiry-based learning. So number one is reinforcement of curriculum content. Number two is warms up the brain for learning. Three is promotes a deeper understanding of content. Four is helps makes learning rewarding. Five is building initiative and self-directions. Six and works in almost any classroom. Seven is offers differentiated instructions. Oh, number 19. Number 19 is mental models. Mental models are any organized patterns consisting of both structure or process that helps students comprehend content knowledge and or solve problems related relatives to the principles being taught. Advanced organizers are often taught as mental models. Mental models helps you understand life example supply and demand in a mental model that helps you understand how the economy works. So number 20, project-based learning. So project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working on a extended period of time to investigate and respond to an athletic, engaging, and complex questions, problem, or challenge. A dynamic classroom approach in which students actively explore real-world problems and challenges and acquire a deeper knowledge. So number 21 is problem-based learning. So problem-based learning is a teaching method in which complex real-world problems are used as the vehicle to promote students learning concepts and principles as opposed to direct presentations of facts and concepts. It can promote the development of the critical thinking skills, problem-solving abilities, and communication skills. It can also provide opportunities for working in groups, finding and evaluating research materials, and lifelong learner. So Number 22 is discovery learning. Discovery learning was introduced by Jerome Bruner and is a method of inquiry-based instruction. This popular theory encourages learners to build on past experiences and knowledge. So use their intuition, imaginations, and creativity and search for new information to discover facts, correlations, and new truths. It is used in the classroom during problem solving exercises and educational programs. So there is a advantage in discovery learning. So the advantages are number one is it encourages motivations, active involvement, and creativity. Number two is it can be adjusted to the learner's pace. Number three, it promotes autonomy and independence. Number four is it ensures higher levels or retentions. So number 23 is social media. So social media are tools that allow for social interaction and easy creations of content by users. It can be also effective tools for teaching and learning in higher educations. So it can connect students to informations and help them generate a dialogue with their teacher and other students about a course. It can also help students and faculty build professionals networks that connect to the communities beyond. So number 24. 24 is games or gamification. So games or gamifications is turning the learning process as a whole into a game, while game-based learning or BGL is using a game as part of the learning process. So it turns the entire learning process into a game. It takes game mechanics and gameplay elements and applies them to existing learning courses and content in order to better motivate and engage learners. Examples of these mechanics includes achievement badge, point, leaderboards, progress bar, and level quest. So, number 25. 25 is competitions. Competitions are great tools in preparing students for their career preference later in life. So, these methods can teach a child certain attributes and traits that can help him or her later in life. Competitions in any forms bring out the best in people and pushes them to excel. Competitions in the classroom is quite healthy. It should, in fact, be encouraged. It allows students to extend themselves to exploit their real capabilities and maximize their true potential. It is most productive when it occurs among students or similar abilities. So number 26 is debate. Debate involves students in expressing their opinions from two competing perspectives with the goal of contradicting each other's arguments. Chang and Cho 2010. An opportunity for decisions may be given after opposing views are presented in alternating statements. Engaging students in discussions and debate encourages students to create their own understanding of the content and connect it to their experiences. So let's move on to letter D. So letter D, flexible learning and teaching. Flexible learning is a method of learning where students are given freedom in how, what, when, and where they learn. Flexible learning environment addresses how physical space is used, how students are grouped during learning, and how physical and how time is used throughout teaching. So examples of flexible learning are face-to-face contact, websites with interactive content, and or chat rooms. So discussions boards, teleconferencing or video conferencing, print resources, field trips, and audio shapes. So flexible teaching accommodates curiosity, allows lessons to have a much looser structure. Let's let, let's discussions and through thoughts play out and follow them to see where they go. In traditional course, some activities are synchronous, like listening to lectures or participating in discussions, labs, and small groups work. Other activities might be asynchronous, like readings and homework assignments.
Good day everyone, I am Nikisa Mtantang and I'll be discussing to you about the differentiated learning and education in emergency. But first, let's talk about the differentiated learning. So, differentiated learning. If we talk about differentiated learning, it is a framework or philosophy that involves providing all students with their diverse classroom community of learners a range of different avenues for understanding new informations in terms of acquiring content, processing, constructing or making sense of ideas, and developing teaching materials and assessment measures so that all students within a classroom can learn effectively regardless of differences in their ability. So it allows students to show what they know in different ways. The first one is design lesson based on the student's learning style. The next one is the group students by shared interest, topic or ability for assignment. Third, assess students' learning using formative assessment. The fourth is to manage the classroom to create a safe and supportive environment. So, according to Tomlinson, teachers can differentiate instruction through four ways. The first one is the content, the next one is the process, the third is the product, while the fourth is the learning environment. Examples of differentiated instruction. The first one is Create Learning Station. If we talk about Create Learning Station, it provides different types of content by setting up learning station. For examples, students can create between station that involves watching a video, creating artwork, reading an article, completing puzzles, and listening to your teachers. So, target different senses with lesson. It is a lesson should resonate with more students if it targets visual, tactile, auditory, and kinesthetic senses instead of only one, like playing videos, using infographics, providing audiobooks, getting students to act out a scene, incorporating charts and illustration within text, giving both spoken and written direction to tasks, and allotting time students to create artistic reflection and interpretation of the lesson. So use the think, pair, share strategy. It is requires students to think individually about the topic or answers to a question and share ideas with a classmate. So make time for journaling. It is a journal can be a tool for students to reflect on the lesson you have taught and activities to have run, helping them process new information. So now, we will talk about the education in emergency. If we talk about education in emergencies, it is an education that protects the well-being, foster learning opportunities, and nurture the overall development of people affected by conflict and disasters. Under in education in emergencies, we have the foundational standards. So it is the standards that described here are critical for an effective education response. They are also the basis for the application of the standards for access and learning environment, teaching and learning. So, teachers and other education personnel and education policy. So, the second one is the teaching learning domain. These standards focus on critical elements that promote effective teaching and learning processes and assessment of learning outcomes. So, curricula. If we talk about curricula, it is the culturally, socially, and linguistically relevant curricula are used to provide formal and non-formal education appropriate to the particular context and needs of the learners. So, training, professional development, and support. It is the teachers and other education personnel receive periodic relevant and structured training according to the needs and circumstances. So, instruction and learning processes. It is an instruction and learning processes that are learner-centered, participatory, and inclusive. So, assessment and learning outcomes. If we talk about assessment and learning outcomes, it is appropriate methods are used to evaluate learning outcomes.